Hello, this is the England Pod Lionesses edition. We convene on the eve of the final of Euro 2025, England versus Spain in Basel on Sunday. It's a 5 p.m. kickoff UK time. We've got Dave Walker here, we've got Kathryn, Batte. Let's have a temperature check, shall we? How are we all feeling?
Yeah, I feel like I'm gonna be sad when I leave Switzerland, but I'm also kind of like so tired. I'm sort of like ready to go home. But like you always get excited for a tournament final. It is like one of the I always say, I don't know if you think the same, Robyn. It's like basically it's the best bit of the job, I think. It's the most stressful, but it's like the most kind of rewarding as well. And I felt like that in Australia, even though it was a little bit disappointing to see England not win. To obviously like, to be at finals of a tournament and to be able to watch and report on it is kind of the best bit of the job. So I'm just finding all the extra adrenaline to get me through Sunday, I think.
I am really excited. It's a final. It's a major final that England are in. And I know that we've had two of these in a row for this group of players, but we shouldn't ever take it for granted, I don't think, being in a major final. It's a massive occasion. And even though we're coming up against Spain, which we'll obviously get into, and they are the favourites, and they've won all their matches, and we haven't, if you actually think about it, we haven't won all our matches, have we, in normal time? Far from it. It's still a great opportunity for us. So I think we need to be confident, and I'm really looking forward to watching the game, and it would be amazing. It would be absolutely amazing if we were to win this for so many reasons, and I think we do have a chance.
I agree. I'm feeling sort of quietly confident at the moment as we record. This will undulate, of course, and this will change from probably minute to minute. But let's get into it, shall we? Let's start with how we always do, team selection. And the usual copy and paste stuff with Sarina Wiegman that, she likes to go with the same 11. Of course, we might be seeing a change with Lauren James. Seems like the news coming out yesterday, Kathryn, was that they want to give her every chance, but not sure. I mean, knowing Sarina Wiegman, she's half fit, she'll be starting, just so we can have that consistency again. What are your kind of feelings on what was coming out?
Yeah, it does. It does really feel like it's touch and go. It sounds like even the players aren't sure whether she's going to be fit or not. As much as kind of Sarina might be giving her as much time as possible. Obviously, England are going to be training, and later on today, and we'll see whether Lauren James is part of that group and how much she's doing. I mean, I remember earlier in the tournament there was a bit of open training that we were allowed to watch, and it felt like she was sat out for quite a lot of it, but that didn't actually mean anything in the end. I think she was just because she'd come back off that long injury. She was sort of being managed a little bit, so it's going to be difficult to tell potentially today, even if she is in training, whether she's going to be fully fit to start. I do think what Sarina Wiegman didn't start her in the last final. Obviously, she'd come back from that red card. I think she started Ella Toon, and she went and she brought James off the bench. And I think looking back, we all kind of felt like that was the wrong decision because trying to get James into a game when you're losing is very, very difficult than when you start her and you can maybe get a moment from her. It felt like when she actually came off the bench, she just really, really struggled to get into the game at all. And I just wondered if she's fit, I think Sarina probably would have learned from that and think, I'm going to start her from minute one. But equally, if she's not fully fit, you can't really afford to carry a player against Spain if they're not able to get up and down, especially as if she's going to be on that right-hand side with Bronze, who we know Bronze likes to get forward. You need somebody there to do a job and make sure they can get back. And if she's not fully fit, I don't think Sarina will start her. But if she's pretty much fully fit, maybe not 100%, but you could get maybe 50 minutes or 60 minutes out of her, I think she will start. So it does really feel like it's touch and go at the minute.
I guess the good thing is we've got options. We've got plenty of options. If she's not fit enough to start, then, you could, I guess, Mead has been the sort of go-to replacement for her, possibly Chloe Kelly. But, yeah, I think you're right in that all the talk around her, even before the tournament, and she's had a couple of quiet games, the last few games, but obviously the injuries played a part in that. But she's still that X factor player that if you have her on the pitch, she has the ability to do something that can change the game. And when you're playing against Spain, we need that more than ever. This is the best team in the tournament. Certainly, if you look at it from not just the fact that they're world champions, but if you look at the stats, if you look at, I was having a look at FOTMob, I mean, there are so many stats to look at that are quite daunting for England. I mean, if you look at individual player ratings, they've got the highest rated player in the tournament, Alexia Putellas. I mean, obviously they've got Batte, who is exceptional herself. They win possession in the final third more than any other team. They just are an exceptional team. So we need everyone we can possibly use at our disposal to try and beat them. But yeah, I think you're right, Kathryn. If she is fit enough, surely she'll play in the same way that we saw Leah Williamson play in the semi-final, and she looked like she'd been patched up a little bit, didn't she? But she still played. So I think it would probably be the same with Lauren James.
It's going to be different though, isn't it? I mean, Spain have averaged, I think, 73% possession over this tournament, and I can't imagine they'll have that much against England, but it's going to be kind of that they are going to have most of the ball. And Dave mentioned it, Kathryn, the kind of 2 Nations League games, and actually the win at Wembley. England did they were very pragmatic, weren't they? Sort of parking the bus a bit, and then scoring quite a scrappy goal to win, Jess Park scoring that one. Do you foresee like a similar sort of tactic in that sense to try and get over the line here?
That game was where the proper English kind of phrase came from, because I think it was Millie Bright that said it after full time, and she said it was a proper English display. And then we never heard it again for a few months, and suddenly during this tournament it's come to life as a kind of thing. I do think that is basically how England will set up against Spain. I think they will essentially, you've got to concentrate basically for like 90 minutes, potentially longer if it goes to extra time. And in a weird way, because England aren't going to be trying to break down a team that's playing a low block, it might actually suit them better. I think one of the things they struggle with the most, we saw it against Italy, is just trying to kind of find a way through. And when Keira Walsh is sort of marked out for the game, how do we kind of, get others into it? And that, just kind of having that sort of rigid system. We've seen teams do it against Barcelona. We saw Arsenal do it in a Champions League final against Barcelona. Just kind of setting up everyone knowing their job. Everyone's got to have a good game, first of all. And then if you get a chance, you've got to take it. I do feel like the subs are going to be important again. And I know they've kind of had that, should we start Chloe Kelly? I think she's just going to have the same players come onto the pitch probably at the same time in the game. The key is if they can get to sort of 75, 80 minutes at 0-0, or even if they've scored, brilliant. But if it was 0-0 at that time and you can bring on Michelle Adjuman, that's kind of how, I think that's the dream scenario really for us, isn't it? Kind of still being in the game and throwing on the inevitable to get the goal.
Yeah, it definitely feels that way, doesn't it? I mean, but then also you sort of think, God, can she do it for a third game? But I just think she's got so much about her. She's such a different player. I don't think there's much Spain would be able to do about it, really.
No,
I think we do bring her on.
Even if she doesn't score, right, she just goes there and kind of, scares them a bit.
Because they have looked vulnerable at the back, haven't they, Spain, a little bit? They have conceded goals when they don't have the ball. And the problem is getting the ball off them in the first place. But if you take your moments and you can counter on them, or you can, if we can take advantage of set pieces or whatever, we should be able to score against them. The worry is obviously stopping them scoring against us, which it has proved difficult for us in this tournament, stopping people scoring against us.
Yeah, and those slow starts just cannot do that this time. Just really can't do that. And I'm not sure if England will. I mean, obviously Spain can sort of blow you away. They have the potential to do that. Just in terms of kind of parking tactics a bit, the sort of the vibe take of this England team, just been listening to a bit of Beth Mead just saying, oh, you know, we've been giving people their money's worth and things like that. They're kind of really leaning into this sort of, you know, we're entertaining people. I like the attitudes. And also, I do wonder the motivation for them, because that final defeat in Australia was really painful for a lot of these players. And I do think, and it's their title, this is their crown. You know, that they don't want it to be wrestled off them easily. So I do feel like England are going to be really highly motivated. You talked about concentration, Kathryn. You know, it's all about that, isn't it? And just one last push, because did feel they looked a little bit tired. They're starting to show some signs of fatigue, but they've had an extra day's rest. It's been well publicised that can make a big difference. And also, going back to sort of how we can hurt Spain, when we watched the Germany game, Germany got in behind them, didn't they? They just couldn't finish off their chances when they came. That's the key, isn't it? I feel like Germany possibly have a slightly better defence than England at the moment, but actually I think our forward players would have finished a couple of those opportunities that Germany managed to create.
I mean, Irene Paredes is slow. I kind of say that in a cruel way. She just is not very quick. She's brilliant in the air. So there's no point kind of when you've got Russo on the pitch crossing the ball into the box, because Paredes is just going to win all the headers. But you've got to play that ball in behind her and on a Batte, and you've got to try and get Lauren Hemp running at her, because she'll be absolutely terrified. I mean, we saw in June, I think Russo's goal, it was her and Paredes in a foot race. And Russo's not really the quickest player. That's not really her strength. But she was just motored away. And, you know, suddenly Russo looked like the quickest player in the team because she was one-on-one with Paredes. And that's going to be the key. You've got to try and get in behind the Spanish defence. I actually don't think their defence is better than England's. I just think they're not tested as much because they have the ball so often. I think Olga Carmona, who obviously scored the goal in the World Cup final, I think she gets forward a lot and leaves gaps. I don't think Alexandri's that much quicker either than Paredes, and she had a bit of a strange season at Man City. So I think if it's one of those things where you're not saying to kind of park the bus, you might have to just sort of move side to side a little bit while Spain have the ball. But actually when you get it, you've got to try and be really, really brave with it and get at that back four, because I actually don't think they're as good as maybe people think they are. And I think Germany showed that. I think Germany got in behind on that, that side where Batte and Paredes is quite a few times and missed quite a few chances. And as you said, Robyn, I think that is the key for England. If they get in, they're just going to have to be clinical, because England have had chances in games previously and not taken them. They've snatched at a few. Russo, someone's had a great season, but maybe a couple of chances in this tournament just hasn't quite managed to find the target or get the shot off. James had a great chance against Italy, and it was sort of the same. They've just got to be really clinical if they do get the opportunity.
I think it's a good point, Kathryn, in that yes, Spain go into this as the favourites, the world champions. We can pull all the stats out that we like from FOTMob saying that they are the best team on paper. But look at the last two games. It's not been easy for them. They've won all the games so far, and they got through the group stages with relative ease. But Switzerland had their moments in that game, in that quarter-final. Spain missed two penalties in that game.
That's right.
They eventually, they won 2-0, but it wasn't easy. I was sort of watching that game, I was at a party and was kind of watching it sort of in the periphery, and I was sort of kept looking over and was surprised for how long it was 0-0. And then they go to extra time against Germany. Slightly fortuitous, maybe, sort of winner as well, with the goals. Not the usual sort of goal that you see going in at the near post. You'd expect a keeper to save that more often than not. But I mean, on XG, they were the clear sort of winners. They created a lot of chances in that game. But if you look at big chances created across the tournament, we've created 7 more big chances than they have across the 5 games so far. I guess we have played more minutes than them if you include the extra time that we had. But yeah, I don't think we should be too scared about Spain. And also, I was just reading a piece from Michael Cox on The Athletic, and this is something that I think Tom Gary from The Guardian was pointing out as well. I heard him before the tournament talking about this. In 12 of the 13 last finals, men's and women's tournaments, the team that played the semi-final the day earlier win the final. So we've got to clutch at every straw we can at this stage, and that is in our favour. And the exception in that 13 game run is the Netherlands, who played the semi-final the same day in 2017 as whoever was in the final against them that year. So, we do have an extra day's rest, if that means anything. Maybe that's the difference between Lauren James being fit and not being fit. Something like that could play a part.
Yeah, I mean, it's all very exciting, isn't it? I think we should take a moment, shouldn't we, Dave, to talk about. I mean, England as a whole. We've had the under-21s this summer winning. We had a men's final last summer. I mean, something's going very right, isn't it? Really, we should give England as a sort of whole their flowers.
Absolutely. I mean, as I said, we shouldn't take these moments for granted, but it is nice to feel that we, expect to be in these situations and in these finals. And I think with the thing about the under-21s obviously won back-to-back Euros, and they are, Lee Carsley and what he did with that group is amazing. And there's every chance that they could win 3. Like, that's very much Carsley's ambition. With the men seniors, we're still not quite used to winning. We still haven't got over the hump of actually winning a major tournament for so long. So there's still a lot of baked-in anxiety and inferiority, I think, there. But with this group, we were talking about it on Football Clichés pod the other day, there is a bit of healthy sort of arrogance and expectation amongst them that they deserve to be there. They've done it. They've won the tournament, albeit as the home nation last time out. They got to the World Cup final. I mean, what is it, 6 semi-finals in a row, I think? They're serious operators when it comes to major tournaments. And I think that all helps. Like, it's not, we say that Spain are the favourites, but England aren't like massive underdogs. They're not like surprise finalists. They go there basically as equals, knowing that they're coming up against a team of really good players who are going to have the ball and all that. But it's a fight that we go into with more than a puncher's chance, I would say. So, yeah, I mean, it's great. And I really hope that, and I've felt it building as well. I think you can feel people sort of getting switched onto it, even just anecdotally. I was getting my hair cut yesterday, and as I was waiting, I could hear the barber talking to the bloke who was before me in the queue, and he was they were just talking about the game, and they were talking about having watched the semi-final, and he was sort of saying, yeah, you know what, I'm really getting into this now. I'm looking forward to watching the final on Sunday. I'm going to have all the kids round and the grandkids round, and we're going to make a big day of it. And, I think 5 p.m. on a Sunday actually is a good time for there to be a massive audience. No pressure on you, Robyn. I think there's going to be a lot of people watching this game on Sunday, and it's going to be a big occasion. And I remember watching the World Cup final against in Australia, which was, what was that, like a 11 a.m. kickoff
11
or
a.m.
something? Yeah, which was which wasn't ideal. So I think this one is perfectly poised for a huge occasion. We've just got to deliver the goods.
Yeah, I think we need to talk about the head coach, don't we? Even me, as the ultimate Sarina Wiegman truther, was starting to, use the L word, lucky. And I'm ashamed of myself for even saying that, because 5th major tournament final for her. No male or female coach has managed that for any team. And you just can't argue with that, can you? You just can't argue with those numbers. And it's kind of almost a bit of another narrative, is that sort of last dance with her and Ian Vuring. This is his last game. Those two together, the dynamic duo, who'll want to sign off together in style. And I know she's put us through the ringer, and a lot of people were shouting at the telly and shouting from the stands, make some substitutions. But I think we've just got to say, we've got to trust her, haven't we? We've just got to.
Yeah, that's what the players were saying. I think it was Keira Walsh was saying, like, when someone asked her, like, oh, when you're in the game, are you kind of internally thinking, like, at Sarina, please make some subs or do something? And Keira was like, no, because we just trust whatever she does, and she's the kind of the calmest person on the touchline. Do you know what? The whole thing with Ayan leaving, he's the person that she always looks for when she celebrates, and there's some brilliant pictures. Girls on the Ball took this fantastic
Yeah,
photo of the sort of family and friends and the bench sort of celebrating. It's like a Renaissance photo. It's brilliant. And Vig, when she turns around, and the first person she always goes to is Ayan, because they've got such a great, kind of relationship with each other. And she was speaking about him yesterday, actually, and she kind of said he's such a big part of the work that they do tactically, and it's kind of they understand each other and they understand how both of each other work. And obviously, we've got one more game with both of them together, but when he does move on and they're going to come up against each other, it's going to be so kind of interesting because they know exactly how the other works and what they're probably going to do. But it would be brilliant if they could kind of sign off with another trophy, with another kind of photo of Iron lifting her up in the air, because that's what he always does when they celebrate after the games. He picks her up kind of like a Titanic celebration. It would be brilliant if they could have one more moment like that.
I agree. Yeah, she's so tiny like me. She's like a kind of little trophy herself, isn't she?
It was interesting to see. It was Mark Willingham from the FA was sort of talking about her this week, wasn't it? Just sort of. I think he was asked whether he was worried that another federation or a team or someone was going to maybe come in for Sarina and try and tempt her away, which is interesting to think that had it have gone slightly differently this tournament, maybe that conversation would have been slightly different in terms of being asked, are you going to keep her, rather than are you worried she's going to leave. But he was very, very bullish and saying no, she's going nowhere. We're committed to her. She's committed to us. They've already got a plan for a new coaching team when those depart. So yeah, I mean it's obviously a very healthy relationship. Her reputation is well intact, I think, even though we've had the trials and tribulations of the matches this tournament. She comes out of it still with credit. Basically, it's the subs that have changed the games again, which you get to take credit for. It doesn't necessarily always work, but if it does work, you're the coach and you've put the subs on. So I'm sure she'd be humble about it and she'd be philosophical about it. But nonetheless, if you're winning games from putting people onto the pitch and changing things mid-match as she has done, that's a massive part of your job. And I think, as we've already said, I really wouldn't be surprised if England are still in the game. That's the key thing. Can we just keep ourselves in the game? It'd be brilliant if we were ahead, but if we're level or even one goal behind going into the last 20 minutes, half an hour, the wealth of options we have off that bench really does give us a chance, I think.
Oh, definitely. I don't think any other team at this Euros, and actually from the last World Cup and Euros, has scored more from the bench than England. And I think, it's good tactics, it's good management, but it also just shows we are an excellent team with depth, real depth, with versatile players who can play in a number of positions. We had Beth Mead playing as 6, didn't we, when we were trying to get back into Italy. So I think real reasons to be positive. Let's just wrap up a couple of loose ends. Dave, your shirt today, you always turn up in a Watford shirt, and you've gone again with one today.
Yeah, I'm not a massively superstitious person really, but I have sort of decided after the Netherlands game that I was going to wear a Watford shirt on rotation for every preview pod. So this is the new season's shirt, which I wore before the Wales game. I'd be surprised if we beat Spain 6-1, but you never know. We've got to do everything we can.
Yeah, exactly. We've all got to play our part, all of us. And yet, finally, on the previous pod, we are spotting a big. Well, it doesn't have to be big, does it? A ex or current England player. We'll take a youth team player, won't we? Any sort of England player.
Yeah.
It's got to be on the day, we feel. But Dave, any sort of updates on the tactics behind that?
Well, you speculated whether I'd take Ray Parlour after seeing Jude Bellingham outside the pub before the semi-final. I haven't seen Ray Parlour yet. I did, however, spend a few hours in the company of Perry Groves last night. But I was checking his Wikipedia just before we started. Sadly, he didn't even play for England under 21s, so he didn't make it, so he doesn't count. But on Sunday, me and Ali are going to be watching the final at Philomena's in Covent Garden, about a 5-minute walk from Holborn Tube. So this is a call out to any past or present or future England footballers, should they want to walk past the pub and bless us with their presence and that good omen, and indeed watch the final with us. And on a slightly more serious note, if there are any listeners out there who are wanting to watch the game in a pub or with people, and they're stuck with something to do, then me and Ali are going to be there. We'll probably be there from 4ish or something. Come on down. The more the merrier on Sunday.
All England all the time. Come on, England. One more game. And yes, we all need to do our part. So yeah, please, if you are any sort of association with England, we'll take on that day for Dave to glance at. We'll be back to reflect on the England pod.
We've got to do our predictions though, haven't we, before we go?
Oh, I thought we'd get away with that.
We've got to. Because me and you, Robyn, it's very crucial that we do it, because we are still neck and neck. Somehow I've jumped up to fourth in the England Pod Predictions League on FOTMob. But you're only 2 points behind me in 10th, and I'm 4th, so it's very congested. I think Ali has won it, basically. I don't think he can be beaten unless there's some sort of...
He's already on the podium lifting the trophy with the ticker tape and all that stuff.
Yeah, unless it's some sort of like Olympic-style scoring where bang on results, goals count more. But I think he is unassailable now. But in the global league, he's dropped out of the top 10. He's down to 17th in the global league. So I think he's only 3 points behind. So it's still all to play for him as well. But yeah, as hard as it is to do, we do need to predict this game. I am going to... I can't possibly predict a Spain winner. So I'm going to go England 2, Spain 1.
I was going to go exactly the same. I can't see England keeping a clean sheet, although that would be hilarious if that was the time England kept a clean sheet against Spain in the final. But yeah, 2-1. Maybe after extra time, just like it was in 2022.
So last summer I was part of a Predictors League, which I actually won by predicting a Spain win and the final, and everyone else was patriotic and predicted England to win because I was second and the person above me predicted England to win, and I won about £50, but I felt quite bad afterwards. I obviously would have preferred England actually to win rather than having the £50, but I was very realistic in my prediction. So I'm going to go for England this time. I'm going to say 1-0 and the inevitable Michelle Adjumang to come off the bench and get the winner. I also think this game might decide who wins the Ballon d'Or, because
Adjumang.
But it's because Arsenal won the Champions League. You're sort of in this weird position where the player that wins the Champions League, and if they do well for their country, is going to probably win the Ballon d'Or. Alessia Russo could genuinely win the Ballon d'Or if England win this competition because of Arsenal winning the Champions League. If Spain win, I think it could be Mariona, just because of the fact she'd have won with Spain and Arsenal. I mean, Pateas and Bonmati would still be in the conversation, but it could kind of swing either way. But yeah, I'm going to go England 1-0.
I've got my Lionesses home shirt on order with Adjumang on the back anyway, because this is just, it's been her tournament, and just what a story, what a woman. Next time you hear from us on the England pod, England will be European champions again, or Spain will have broken our hearts again. Either way, we'll be back to reflect on the England pod. Come on, England.